Do you want us to look
and
at the
spell them
camera?
out.
Or look at
Yeah.
you? He's on camera. Oh, he's on camera.
Oh, he's so cute. Okay, I'm just gonna do like a
It's
little.
always funny when he puts his legs out like that. I don't think I would classify it as a choice, because at any point, had I had the choice to live in an apartment, I would have. I was never an option, actually, when what's required to live in an apartment with the down payment and the credit checks, and just being able to make rent every month. No point in my life was it a really feasible option where I felt comfortable doing that, because I haven't ever really had a large buffer of savings to fall back on. And especially coming to Cal Poly Humboldt when I decided to finish my degree, the only way to make that possible was to live in a vehicle.
There's two ways to look at it. Like, two ways, if you want to look at it as like comparable lifestyle, you have to look at it as like, is somebody traveling living this way, or are they living this way whether or not it's out of necessity or choice, and more so staying put in a certain area, like they have a job or they go to school in a certain town, they have ties to a certain area, and they're not like traveling. Because a lot of the van life idea is to travel, and you're using a lot of gas and you're using a lot more resources technically to be mobile, to be moving around a lot, to get from one place to another. And I think if you are cutting that out and you're just looking at people who live like this because they're trying to get through school, or as a means to survive, or to not pay rent, or to get to their job, or whatever the reason is, if they're more so staying in a certain area and they're not traveling, and then I think that's a better comparison to somebody living in an apartment staying put, because okay, that person is staying put, but they have to spend money on gas to commute, or maybe they ride a bike if they live in a small town, but that could be comparable to the amount of gas that we spend having to take our vehicles to go dump and go get resources. But like what Brad said, I think the key thing that makes that, in my opinion, even as someone who has an environmental science degree, in my opinion, after living it and learning about the things that I have through my degree, this is a more eco-friendly and environmentally friendly or sustainable way to live, mostly because it makes you conscious. And the biggest problem with the way that the world is moving right now and the way our society functions is nobody's conscious of the way that we receive our resources.
I was like a teen mom. I had a baby when I was really young. I was 17, and then I had her right after I turned 18. So I was kind of like, I had all these ideas in my head about traveling, and I was kind of, grounded for 18 years to take care of my daughter. Didn't have enough money to try to like make it work with her or anything like that, and that seemed scary. So I was just kind of like, it stayed a dream of mine the whole time she was growing up. So like, even when she was little, we would see vans or interesting looking trailers, and she would point them out because she knew that that's what I wanted to do one day. That's kind of been a plan for a really long time. And then the pandemic hit, and she turned 18 that same year. She turned 18 May of 2020. And so as soon as she turned 18, she moved out. And we had been on like Section 8 housing, and I had been telling myself that when she turned 18, I was going to give up my voucher, and, she was going to go learn how to be an adult somewhere on her own. And this was just kind of like that's what she wanted to. I found my van. It's a 2002 Dodge Ram extended van. So it's like short. You can't stand up in it, but I didn't want to have a really tall van because that kind of poses some problems getting through small tunnels and into parking garages. So I found this van was totally empty. I just kind of told myself that I was going to figure out how to do everything that I wanted to do with the van. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I worked on the van for like 6 months. I have had weird stuff happen. Like, I've gotten my van knocked on in the middle of the night by people who are probably on drugs. One time someone like had me confused for someone else, which happened when the van was new and just plain white. Now it's got murals all over it, so I don't think anyone's going to confuse me for someone else, but
Right.